Nicola, thank you so much for joining us on the Small Business Growth Series. Really appreciate your time. We have Nicola here with us, who's the CMO of Poolwerx. Thank you.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Tell us a little bit about what a day in the life of a CMO at Poolwerx looks like.
Thanks, Renee. Yes, certainly an interesting role, and every day is very different. My role, obviously, one of the joys of being part of a team of marketing people is that you get to cross all different facets of the business. And I think that's one of the loveliest things about my role and the opportunities that my team gets. So a day in the life for me can be very different, but in essence, what do I focus on primarily? We as a Poolwerx business are very focused around our national campaigns. We have regional-led propositions, and then we have obviously a very strong proposition across all of our local marketing. So my day can be very different in respect of being on a call with a franchise partner, directly talking to them about, what they can do to help improve their growth in their particular market sector based on their business plans. So I spend a lot of my time talking to our operations team, who we call our ROMs, our regional operations managers, talking to them about growth. Where can marketing support them in growth within their particular states? Where can we support the franchise partners within that state? Who needs more help than others? So, there's always that triage conversation going on where I can then support my team to look at, where does growth come from? What does acquisition look like? What does retention look like at a local level for everybody, really? From a national perspective, obviously, there's a lot of stakeholder engagement with what we call our PIPs, otherwise known as suppliers, I think, in most other industries. Our partners in profit, as we call them.
Well, that's cool. I like that.
are the people that, I get involved in, obviously, in terms of our forward, what we call our client first strategy. So those key promotions that go out throughout the year. So what's happening in terms of innovation? I always need to be 6 months ahead of the game in terms of, what's going to land and where it's going to land. Is our focus around wellness? Is it around lifestyle? What new products are coming in? And my role is to listen, take the feedback, and promote and present to them new opportunities that equally they can then take back down the chain and into their networks and their buddy systems. So those type of meetings help marketing in terms of making sure we're listening, we're understanding what the feedback is that's coming from small businesses that are within our network, and that we're meeting, both their expectations and obligations around the brand, but we're also always looking for that niche, that new opportunity, that different way of doing something. Looking at PR and brand and sponsorship opportunities is also, a key part of my role alongside those everyday promotional needs that we have as a service-led business.
Absolutely. There is so much to unpack in that answer because the main thing that I hear a lot about, and we do as Constant Contact as well when we're talking to franchises, is, how to better support at a local level. So, and how to support the franchisees. But based on what you've just explained there, that's a lot of support. That's amazing. And how many franchisees do you have now?
So at the moment we've got 143 stores and 484 mobile operators.
And is that across Australia and New Zealand?
That's across, yeah it is. And across Australia there's 442 territories. So we're looking after 442 territories, or the franchise partners certainly are, with both a combined mobile operation and obviously our bricks and mortar stores as well.
As the HQ marketing team, how do you manage and oversee, I guess, from a corporate governance perspective, 442 territories? I mean, that is quite a lift. So, there must be sort of systems and tools and processes, I guess, in place to do that, because that's a big network of franchisees right there.
It certainly is. And I think, that's one of the reasons that, we're so engaged with our future with you and, what opportunities Vision 6 Constant Contact can, bring to the table. So in terms of the in terms of the change and growth that happens within a business like ours, it's obviously always important that we've got the right technology available to us in this modern day and age. So, we've been very lucky this year introducing a new brand portal for our franchise partners, something we call Loop. They've got new portals for paid advertising. They've got portals to help reputation management. They've obviously got the portal with Vision 6 at the moment to help with our EDMs. But for us, the governance piece is very focused around our brand portal. We provide to our incumbent franchise partners and certainly those new people that join our organization a plethora of tools, templates, evergreen assets that they can use for their local area marketing. Every campaign that goes out at a national level is executed with a suite of material that lives within our brand portal. So our franchise partners are able to log in, they can download our flyers, they can download the posters, send them to print. They can modify those templates if they want to temper it to their local environment, which is critical and essential for a network our size.
And it's so good that you know that, because I think that is some of the feedback we hear as well from franchisees, that sort of they don't have necessarily that flexibility to localize and edit things. They sort of just have to take what's top down and can't really roll it out. So giving that option for flexibility for the LAM, the local area marketing, is really important, right? Particularly
Absolutely.
with a bricks and mortar store too, right? Like, can be different situations at any given point, even like different temperatures and things. Like, it's hotter up in Queensland than it might be in Tassie, for example. So, your approach just might be slightly different in the way that you're wording things, but certainly at a local level, localizing does allow for more penetration with that community.
Without a doubt. What happens at Poolwerx Wagga Wagga is very different to what's happening at Port Stephens and or at Brisbane Metro. So we do have to allow a level of flexibility. There is obviously a level of brand governance that is applied very strictly, but we have thematics, we have phased opportunities for them as to how much they can modify an individual asset. But the thing I think that's also really important is they're able to develop their own assets, so that they can pull in those all important photos of nasties in the skimmer box, or kangaroos bathing in the pool at Christmas, or, ducks invading a swimming pool, and use them to help tell lovely stories at a local level. And
yeah, the storytelling piece is so essential for engagement. Yeah. So like you touched earlier on some of the channels. So you talked about paid, and then there's flyers. Like, I think that there's a bit of direct mail that still happens with Poolwerx, yes. Would you say? Yeah. So like, what are the channels that are performing best at the moment, and how does it differ between you and sort of like the HQ and the national campaigns versus the local campaigns?
So if we look at our business as a franchisor supporting our franchisees, it's important that we bring as many platforms and opportunities to them as possible. One of the benefits of being in franchising is, you get access to all of this equipment and modern technology as kind of part of the deal. So it's important that what we deliver works, more importantly than anything. But at a national level, we've spoken about some of the platforms that we've got, but our role at the national level as the support centre is that, we're obviously focused on brand awareness. We're focused on growth of the brand through our sponsorships. This year, we've become one of the major sponsors of the Big Bash League with Brisbane Heat. So, we're looking forward to that season, and our franchise partners who are cricket mad will be getting involved in it, I have no doubt. But in terms of our channel, so our role at the support centre is to drive leads. First and foremost, one of our key KPIs that we have within our business is franchise partner profitability. And for them to be profitable, we need to ensure that they're getting that inbound reach and they're getting brand awareness geo-targeted at a local level as well. So the mixture of digital and traditional assets in the pool industry, unlike some others, is still incredibly important. We do a phenomenal amount of traditional marketing. I think there's always a perception that kind of digital is king. But for us, being able to still put flyers through letterboxes is important, still have that one-to-one relationship in the backyard. Having a conversation is as important as posting something on Facebook. So we're always looking at acquisition. We're always looking at how we can expand the Poolwerx brand nationally. We're always looking at acquisition for our franchise partners from a perspective of client growth. So having channels that provide an opportunity for us to blend a mix of traditional and digital marketing in a business that operates both a retail store and in some instances up to 13 mobile vans is incredibly important. They've got to be able to deliver through their service vehicles a retail experience as well as delivering a service of a pool, and vice versa, making sure we've got the right channels to really attract footfall into our retail stores is important. We're up against big box, people like Bunnings, Clark Rubber are our major competitors. But in that, online big box environment where we're being, targeted head on also with comparisons on e-commerce, it's really important that our product channels are open, that there is opportunity for people to browse, engage and ask questions. So that's really important for us.
So you talked a little bit about like the digital and then the traditional. Seems like a blend of both is what's working really well, like at a national level as well as at a local level. Sticking with the digital part for a little bit here. So you've talked about social. You guys use email and SMS as well. How do they complement each other?
So for us, we measure ourselves internally across three kind of major attributes. Obviously, service is a primary. We obviously are a retail business as well. So, we're always looking at equipment. We look at chemicals. We look at labor as key measures and metrics for us as a business as to where we need to invest, whether that's through paid or meta or through search. We are very product agnostic in terms of our website, and that search piece, that's really important to us, that query piece, and our paid really leans into search, and that's an area where we kind of have an opportunity for greatest growth. But for us, bringing together the digital and traditional is very important. And, we always give our franchise partners the advice of do what's free first. When you're starting your business and you've got a million things on your mind, do what's free first and get your feet under the table and get comfortable. And in the back end, the support team are taking care of some of their bigger paid and organic pieces of marketing content for them. But from a wider perspective, we have a lot of obviously metro and rural clients, and digital communication in some of those areas is challenging. So it's more important that, the flyer is put through the door, or the phone call is made every Friday, or the right posters are up in store for the weekly visit that Jack does every Friday. That's far more important to them than us trying to get them to connect on a Facebook page or an Instagram page. And I think probably the thing with us as a business, and like many others today, our clients range from in their 20s right through to in their very, very later years, who still have a pool in the garden for the grandchildren, but aren't able to maintain it themselves. So we have to tailor our marketing, traditional and digital, to also suit that consumer group that is very mixed in some areas and or quite prolific to a certain age group in others. So it's very important that the franchise partners have access to all of the collateral that resonates with a local business, a local quiet village or town, and or a busy city suburban environment.
You talked a lot about the fact that there's a lot of resources given at the franchisee level. Is there education and training as well? Because we hear about that so much, that it's the big challenge with, I don't know how to market. I'm not a marketer, right? I've got my store. I want it to grow. Like, I'm passionate about it grow. I'm really good at what I do. But I don't understand all of this marketing business. So like, how do you help the franchisees in that way?
So they go on somewhat of a journey. So when they join the business, they go into what we call pool school, and their pool school lasts 3 weeks. I think it's one of the longest pool schools that's around, where they're actually given that onboard training as a small business. So we cover finance, we cover marketing, we cover supply management. We cover the technical training, how to plumb a system, how to pull a robot apart, how to prime a pump, all of that sort of stuff. From a marketing perspective, when people are in pool school, we sit down with them and we develop an interim 3-month plan.
Oh,
so they're
awesome.
given a plan that tells them how and where to focus on their business subject to the geographical location. In most instances, if it's a brand new business or a startup, it's kind of an almost out of the box experience for them for the first 3 months, because there's so much else going on and they've got to build the service round. We have a program called Forming Good Habits that we run with our franchise partners. So they go through continual training with us. We have a session every year called Revitalize. So we're on the road, out training franchise partners face to face, showing them what all the platforms do for those that still haven't yet logged in, and teaching them kind of where the biggest opportunity is at the moment. Our focus with them is around Google My Business, Google reviews, so we're trying to kind of upskill them around that too, around that reputation management piece, and we're doing that because we're also improving our digital stack with our website as well, so that's a really key piece for us, but there is ongoing training and investment for our franchise partners. We've just come out of convention. We all got together on the Gold Coast this year, and we ran some really good little masterclasses with them around marketing. But it also gives us an opportunity, particularly in business meetings, for example, when we're presenting what the next campaign is that's coming, that they also feedback to us. So that feedback system is important. I think one of the lovely things that we do in our business, and we do it so well, is our buddy system. We have a fabulous buddy system, whether it's on WhatsApp or whether it's a peer-to-peer group that gets together monthly or quarterly. Our franchise partners actually support and train each other.
What are some of those challenges that you face at the moment from a marketing perspective?
I think obviously the economic shift has been something that's been on everybody's radar for the last 18 months. We've been in retention mode strategically as a marketing piece, and we're now kind of turning the tide on that, and really kind of looking at more acquisition as people's propensity to spend begins to change slightly. We didn't see a drop too much around that in our service business, which is lovely. There's always challenges economically, and as a business, I think we really pride ourselves through the brand research that we conduct that we really are engaged with our client base. We survey twice a year. We send out Net Promoter Scores, and we really make sure that we're listening. That's a really important piece for our business, because
that's a really good takeaway, actually. It's just, and I think you can forget that.
Yeah.
You just keep listening. It's just, trying to pump out the comms as much as you can, and you're not really listening and then adapting to what the customer's kind of trying to tell you. And sometimes it might not be directly trying to tell you, it just might be behavioral, and you are noticing that shift. Because, we've seen from some of our research as well, there's about 60% of consumers that we surveyed recently in Australia and New Zealand have reduced their spending at small businesses due to inflation. So it definitely showed us too that, there's a real price sensitivity in Australia and New Zealand right now.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Last year and certainly at the beginning of this year, our major focus really for the last 2 years was around the value piece, demonstrating as the experts where people can get value out of the product that they're purchasing. And, we did see initially a push to people perhaps looking at, we call our range good, better, best. So they were looking at the value end in terms of price, as an opportunity, as opposed to, stretching and getting the more kind of premium product that's available on the shelf to them. So we did see a shift in that area. The area we probably have seen the most change in is people's habits around repair. Our repair business, primarily for robotic cleaners and or pumps, and those type of pieces of pool equipment, we've seen a lot of people actually reinvesting in their product over the last 18 months as opposed to going out and purchasing direct replacement pieces. So
that makes sense.
that's a nice piece for us, certainly around the environmental and, always making sure that there is a second and or third opportunity of life in a product before it gets swapped out.
So aside from sort of the impact that maybe inflation sort of having with those price sensitivities, from a pure marketing play perspective, what are some of the core challenges that you're trying to overcome right now? I mean, I know you're going through a digital transformation phase as well. Are some of those challenges fueling those changes that you're making at Poolwerx right now?
Absolutely. First and foremost is trying to achieve that improved or trying to even achieve the omni-channel experience. So the pool industry is somewhat of a laggard compared to the rest of that retail world. We aren't as technologically advanced as some of our sisters and brothers within that retail industry. So one of the things that we've been focusing on heavily for the last year and certainly continue into the beginning of next year is our digital stack, improving the right technology for our franchise partners, but primarily also then giving our clients that better experience both in store and online. So yes, we are working on our websites. As I've said, we've got new websites coming for Australia, New Zealand and the USA.
Well, that's a huge job in itself.
That's a big job. Yes, it is. And then in addition to that, we're improving the digital technology around our servicing. So it's, the feedback that we always get, could do more with the communications. Absolutely. So the SMS component around, Joe is coming today. He'll be there at 3:00. Your pool has been serviced. This is what's happened. Here attached is your client record to show you what we've done and dosed the pool. And we locked the gate on the way out and the dog's still safe. So, that reassurance piece is really important. That digital comms is essentially.
And it's so convenient. And it's the kind of SMS you want to receive.
Yes,
right? It's
without a doubt. You want to know that you've someone shut the gate.
Yes, and it's personal to you. So using that as a channel for that purpose is, super valuable. We know like SMS, I guess, compared to even things like email, but certainly other channels, but has an open rate of about 98%, which is nice, right? Because you know that SMS is getting there. I mean,
absolutely, yeah, without a doubt. It's a really key tool in their marketing armor to keep the comms open. Yes, every house is different. Some houses require us to go through a garage and or sometimes through a house to get to a pool, depending on how it was built. So again, that relationship, that trust for our business is top priority.
And that's what fuels that customer loyalty, right? And getting that repeat business. So how do you maintain that through, from a marketing perspective, the touch points in between the servicing? I think you guys do a wonderful job, like from a marketing perspective, as I said, you use sort of the email and the SMS together with us right now. But in terms of the touch points, like, are there certain things that work better than others? Like for some people it's newsletters, for others it's like milestones, like thank you for a year of being a customer with us. So really like leveraging those sorts of things. Like, what do you think from a comms perspective and a messaging perspective is working best for Poolwerx?
For us, our clients do like to receive a blend and a mixture. Our adoption rate on our website is heavily biased towards mobile users. Most people are on a mobile phone today. So,
it's about 70% at least.
It's really high. So that's a really important piece, making sure that we're always kind of front of mind and, we're always putting the right information out at a time that's relevant to the consumer base as well. And for us, that's around seasonality. So that's seasonal communication.
You're getting into that now,
We're
right?
just about to ramp up to the summer season.
Yeah.
The weather is good. Everybody's in getting their water tested at the moment, peeling off those blankets. Yeah. So, the seasonality piece is really key for us. So having those platforms like email, SMS, where we can put the promotions out to support them around. Where we could do better is, where we're having a relationship with you and the team at Constant Contact, and it's around improving that personalization. It's around improving and enriching the experience that somebody has around buying habits, consumer trends, geographical location, as you've already said, geographically, we've still got Victoria experiencing some awful weather still at the moment. So,
they're not peeling off the blankets yet. No.
Exactly. And, New Zealand as a market, they're still bubbling in their spas. They're not quite ready for summer at all. So, it's really important that we temper our comms appropriately, accordingly to the needs of the consumer. But we're also giving the consumer the opportunity, as we do, looking for that innovation, looking for that change, giving them advice on how they can improve the quality of their pool and their swimming experience. So we do actually share the feedback with our franchise partners that comes through the brand research. I present it to them. And I also give them, through their regional operations managers, access to what is said in their net promoter scores. So they do see in black and white, which can be confronting, what somebody has actually said about their business.
That's so important. Again, it comes back to listening, doesn't it?
It does.
And the corporate governance side, is so important from a franchise model perspective too, particularly for marketing, just to make sure that, if you're out in region trying to present yourself as that premium brand and also a really trusted brand, the kind of brand that you can rely on, when things go south, right?
Absolutely.
But you need to maintain that from a branding perspective then. So having that element of control of the comms that go out from the franchisee is important. So how do you manage that? Because I know a lot of sort of franchises do have that as a challenge in terms of how do we make sure that we can oversee what's happening. And you've talked about like having a brand portal, but as at a high level, zooming out, is corporate governance a challenge, at Poolwerx, or do you find that with the structure that you have that it just works?
It's well structured in terms of local regulations, the regulatory bodies around franchising. That's very well governed. And obviously, there is the franchisee autonomy that is required in terms of, just brand governance as well. So we support our franchise partners. So there's been a significant amount of change that's happened of late around, wages and obviously, staff and their ability to disengage and kind of switch their phones off at 5 or 6 o'clock and not be available kind of 24/7. And we're a 24/7 business. So, we have to ensure that our franchise partners adhere to that regulation. And we do that through training. So, we have training in place and we bring them up to speed and we make sure their businesses are up to speed around legislation and their legal obligations. That's all monitored very heavily. And we train and support accordingly. As any small business, they unfortunately are bound legally and through the regulatory process to ensure that they're compliant across many things, whether it's vehicles on the road, staff in the store, wages, hours, all of that kind of stuff. But they also have the added complication of managing the brand. So our marketing team, we have sign-off processes on everything. Everything comes across the marketing team's desks. There's always 2 sets of eyes on what's being presented digitally. We can track and monitor what's going on and what's being posted and sent out. But there's a level of trust as well. Yeah. At the end of the day,
you need that balance, don't you?
They've bought into the Poolwerx business.
They want it to go well as well.
They want it to go well, and it needs to work for them locally because it only takes a one man and a small army to make something go wrong. So that they're responsible for their local business in a local environment, managing and dealing with the people that live in their neighborhood. And if that cultural fit, if that trust isn't there, then no small business would be successful. So yes, it's a big responsibility for any small business, but particularly I think when you've got that equal weighting of being responsible for a brand that's a national brand as well.
And in terms of the personalization, I mean, we see a lot of businesses using automation to try and execute on that. Is that like marketing automation, and what about AI? Is that something that you're exploring as a team?
We are, without a doubt. That, I mean, AI has crept into most platforms now already. Certainly, it's available as a tool to franchise partners to help them with their communication as well, more
so from
importantly.
the content writing perspective?
Absolutely, yes. Making sure that they actually answer the question and they answer it in a tone that is acceptable for customer service, and they're not doing it on the fly with 2 minutes to spare and being direct and believing they're answering the question. That there is a modicum of control and empathy is incredibly important. So AI is very helpful for them in that experience. And we probably see that most across our reputation management platforms and our meta platforms, where they can create content to help with a social media post or a post that they're putting out around a promotion with the wording. So that's nice. We aren't seeing it at the moment. We will hopefully start to see it as we bring in chat functionality. So, really kind of gaining experience from that is important for us down the line. And obviously, in terms of any business that operates multiple digital platforms, the learning experience from websites, from search queries, from SEO, we dive into that data very frequently to make sure that we improve content on our pages, the way that we're presenting stuff. That is part of our everyday marketing strategy, and we rely on that heavily to give the customer experience that our customers expect.
And hopefully we can continue to support you with that.
Yes,
I know it's a big priority.
You've got a big job coming up.
Yes. And it's a big priority for us to make sure we're working, with businesses like yourselves, and you have a huge job and a big network of franchisees, and getting really involved and supporting you as much as possible is a big priority for us as well, and our local support team is on hand to support with all of this transition that's happening in the future, and making sure that you as a team are successful from a comms perspective is a big priority for us too. So thanks for trusting us with that job.
And I think the key thing that we always talk about is the adoption piece as well, ensuring that your team, as we improve and migrate kind of